Good morning, just after Easter, and happy Easter to everyone from a new video cast from Henley Consulting, the specialist management consulting firm to the $125 billion display industry. And today we want to talk about novel display companies and new industries using TFTs supplied by the LCD industry to pull off their product. This is something we have worked on for different clients over the last 20 years, quite a number of times. And there are quite a few cases where novel display companies want to focus on their front plane effect and therefore want to collaborate with the LCD industry or the OLED industry to be supplied backplanes for use in their novel displays and or other applications. And so we want to talk about the strategic issues involved, the sourcing matters, and how such deals could be struck. So overall, first, it's worth saying that we've been in business doing this sort of consulting for 20 years. The supply of semi-finished product out of the display industry is a very, very, very small part of the total industry. And there's really only one major player, which is E Ink Holdings, based in Taiwan, using sourced TFTs as a substantial part of their business model today. And they do a very good job of that. They've got relationships with nearly everybody in Taiwan in particular and others. And they use this to pull off their e-reader electrophoretic products. But we have worked with a number of clients over quite a long time, not just in displays. The most common assignments are for people who have novel display technologies working on a new front plane effect, and then they are interested in sourcing some sort of backplane, either passive matrix or active matrix, from the LCD or OLED industry. But it doesn't just stop at displays, and sometimes it has been other functions. We've actually done the use of TFTs as a printhead device for biofluidics, and a range of other things. So it's not just that today. The other industry also that has looked to the display industry for supply of glass and bipanes is the electronic windows market. And there's a variety of different variants of this, but they all look to potentially using display equipment or the supply of display bipanes as part of their industrial strategy. And longer term, I think it may actually end up that you start seeing some flex IC work as soon as some fully CMOS capable processes and materials are available. So the first thing that's worth saying is the availability of the different technologies as backplanes varies wildly. Passive matrix is typically small glass and is available from a very large number of players in Asia, mostly in China. Amorphous silicon, also a very large number of players with gen sizes ranging from Gen 2 up to very large glass potentially. Whereas IGZO is still a fairly narrowly held technology, and as such, actually we've often spoken to people about thinking very carefully about changing their technology strategy to actually even think about polysilicon, which is a probably easier bet than IGZO. And this is our general point, and this does change over time, hence the use of a sort of schematic here. Passive matrix is in general small glass. Amorphous silicon has the potential to be from Gen 2 up until very large glass, although we've not actually done any sourcing assignments around extremely large amorphous silicon Gen 10 glass, for example. Same probably true for IGZO, and the bigger challenge, as we've alluded to, is that IGZO is actually not a very broadly available technology with people that are master level at it, and so that is actually more tricky. Polysilicon, however, that is actually broadly available from at least 10 players. A number of these are actually have some interest at times of low load in selling bipanes. The price per square meter does vary quite a lot depending on whether it's a new fab or an old fab, but it is broadly possible. So that's actually a capability that's doable. And finally, one other thing that people tend not to think about is then the cost of the NRE charge, and I'll move my bubble out of the way. But actually, as the gen size increases, the cost of a mask set, so in terms of laying out a new design, often a display player will come back at you asking for the NRE or at least a contribution towards the total set of masks. That does actually escalate quite quickly as you start getting above Gen 5. So actually, sometimes for product development purposes, you may want to think about designing your technology and trying to apply it to slightly smaller Gen fabs. There's still a range of Gen 4s around being used as R&D facilities in particular, and then the trade-off there is actually quite nice in terms of the mask cost. But all of these issues need to come into a global view on what it is you're going to do and why. So I guess that's our biggest thought of the day here today is this model of using the display industry as a supplier of semi-finished goods is proven. E-Ink Holdings bases their business based on it, but they've got deep relationships and aligned incentives to make that work. The best way of thinking about this is you need to think about it as a total package deal when you're approaching the display player. Often you'll find they might have interest in your display technology, perhaps for other markets that you're not thinking about, and that can sweeten the deal if you can license the technology back in the other direction. Because commercial interest is by far the strongest driver in getting a good price out of the industry. Volumes, of course, clearly makes another deal. And I think it's also really worth saying that LCD-like as a notion is actually quite a dangerous notion. You need to be incredibly close to what the industry easily supplies. Otherwise, a small change here and a small change here in metallization in layers or slight differences in the stack can actually cause quite big changes in any commercial quote. So if you see it as a deal-making exercise where you're actually thinking holistically about how to approach the industry and offer it something that might be attractive, then you've got the best chance then of securing something that's in your interests. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting, and just to start after Easter, happy Easter for everyone.